urged the state Senate to enact a tobacco tax for health care, there were 50 faith leaders present, including 10 UUs from 5 congregations, and 2 of the speakers were UU ministers. Many non-UUs were identified as such with our stickers, and our 2 banners are quite visible at rallies, and our work with hundreds of organizations resulted in the passage of the tobacco tax. At our 3rd annual meeting in October, entitled Raising UU Voices in Annapolis, we presented Speaker of the House Michael Bush the Legislator of the Year award. We celebrated the passage of the Clean Cars Act and prepared for the special session where legislation passed to expand access to Medicaid for adults and increased access to over 100,000 Marylanders.
In 2008, we effectively assisted in recruiting 49 co-sponsors and major support for the Religious Freedom and Civil Marriage Protection Act, which you'll be hearing a little bit about later, to permit same-sex marriages. We also continued our ongoing efforts to defeat proposals to put on the ballot a constitutional amendment limiting marriage. UULM held a briefing prior to the Equality Maryland rally, which had over 100 UUs in attendance, part of them bused by Cedar Lane, right?
Yes.
At our 4th annual meeting in November, Expanding UU Influence in Maryland, Visions for Legislative Action in 2009, we were at the UU Church in Silver Spring, and Delegate Paul Pinsky became the Legislator of the Year, and we celebrated the passage of the Medicaid legislation, Kids First Act. Right, Virginia? UU youth participated in 2 major events, Advocacy Training on Global Warming Solutions Act, and then UUs joined other environmental advocates to meet with legislators to encourage support. We even got an MPT with our kids at the rally. They also participated in the UU Service Committee, sponsored a major education and advocacy event to highlight the problems in Darfur. UU youth groups in Columbia and Annapolis designed and painted the UULM tent, and it was displayed on the mall and sent to Darfur. UULM sponsored meetings with other groups and 4 UU congregations to get input and support for the revised Coalition of Healthcare for All plan. Part of our work is educational as well as advocacy. And there were also meetings to implement healthcare legislation and a planning session with the Women's Health Coalition.
In 2009, UULM members voted at our annual meeting to add the repeal of the death penalty in Maryland in 2009. Intern Minister Megan Foley, who's here today, led the new death penalty task force. Instead of complete repeal, both houses passed legislation to restrict the death penalty law by limiting the types of evidence in capital cases. And this makes Maryland law concerning state executions the most restrictive in the nation, short of repealing it. In 2009, our work has become more complex. We agreed it was essential to support federal legislation to follow up on our work on global warming, especially the Greenhouse Gas Emissions Reduction Act of 2009, and our intensive work on healthcare for all. We've worked with the UUA and other groups to support crucial global warming and healthcare reform legislation.
UULM has been very fortunate to have the support from the Fund for Unitarian Social Responsibility to aid our development and growth, and to become a major liberal religious voice for UUs in Maryland. The UU Service Committee also greatly helped us become established by grants. Their generosity enabled us to be here today and report on some significant accomplishments. These grants made possible the hiring in July 2006, Maureen Harris as a coordinator, and then she was later replaced by Marjorie Knight, who was introduced earlier in October of 2008. And John started with us in 2009 in September. Their funds have enabled us to build a state network. But now it's time for us to go on our own, primarily, and so there's become a major emphasis on membership and fundraising. And John is joined by a wonderful consultant, Bob Johnson, who many of you know, as our volunteer strategic planning and fundraising. I think we're really going to do a major strategic plan in May, because it'll be our 5th anniversary with his help. We want to continue to build our UU network, which you all are part of educators and advocates to make a difference and continue to grow in scope and effectiveness. One of the many benefits of statewide organizations is to be able to work effectively with other organizations in the state and on the national level.
Thank you all for your many contributions since 2005. Maryland UUs have made a difference because you contacted your legislators. You're going to send postcards for Valentine's Day. You have contacted your legislators. You've joined the legislative network, testified, attended rallies, helped financially. Working with your congregations, many of you have helped to encourage participation in legislative priorities, membership, donations, and affiliations. We really feel privileged to work with the dedicated UU advocates, and we learn so much from all of you. In less than 5 years, the UU Legislative Ministry of Maryland has become recognized for our advocacy work in Maryland as a voice representing our religious values. We continue to be challenged to expand our influence on issues important to UUs based upon our principles. We aspire to involve greater numbers of individual members and have all of our Maryland congregations become affiliates. Thank you so much for coming today to be a part of this important work.
And now we would like to